Great, thank you. So welcome to the April 8th Water Commissioners meeting. This meeting is being broadcast live and is a hybrid meeting. So if there is anybody that is watching on their computer and they have a question, please put the question in the Q&A, include your name and address, and Sean will let us know. So the first item that we have on the agenda here is discussion and vote for declaration of the State of the Water Supply Conservation Phase 3. And we have the Water Division Operating Manager, Rich Tanner, here to talk about that. Come on up, Rich.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all. Thank you for entertaining and hearing my motion to implement water restrictions for this coming summer season. Much like previous years, we were given allowances under our water permit that provide us to go to a phase 2 or phase 3. That is based on per capita use by the residents here of Easton. Last year, we were below that number, so that allows us that flexibility. But I am requesting that you go to phase 3, which only allows for 1 day of watering between the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. So the reason for this is much like the last few years of construction going on at Red Mill Road. We still have one of the wells still out. A lot of the construction has been completed, but we don't have the full capacity of that facility as of yet. So with that, and then a future restoration of the Bay Road storage tank in the month of September will also put us in a kind of a challenging situation at that time of year, but that's usually when tank restorations are done. They're either done very early in the season or late in the season. So with that, we lose half of our storage capacity, but we still have the ability to have pressure and firefighting that the town needs.
Okay.
So I'm looking for the phase 3 just for a more of a protection of the system and being able to supply throughout the duration of the summer.
Okay, and there are some exemptions to that, right? If someone puts in a new lawn, are they able to water differently or in a phase 3? No?
Generally, during a phase 3, it does not allow that
Okay.
consideration.
But you can do hand watering.
You can do hand watering. There are certain other things like pool filling, which is not allowed.
Right.
It's more focused on, the allowances are more for agricultural gardens and perennials, annuals, those kind of things that
Okay.
do need to be watered occasionally, and that's where the hand hose is allowed to be done.
Okay. Well, I, for one, think that just because we've gotten a lot of rain and a lot of water now, that doesn't mean we're not going to end up with a drought in the summer. And I don't know that I feel it's the best course. You know, I know we have to do it for what you're saying, but in addition to that, I think we should be always trying to practice water conservation in general. So I fully support going into the phase 3 right out of the gate.
The other component that I didn't include in my update to you is that each year we follow stream flow trigger. So if the Taunton River triggers below a certain level during certain months, that immediately pushes us to a more strict phase 3 restriction anyway. So this has happened quite often over the last few years. So it's hard to pull back your message once you've already allowed something.
Right.
And I know that from experience, the first year that I was here was that we gave phase 2 allowances, but then once the Taunton River triggered that low level, it's hard to get people to respond and bring them back into the fold, so to speak.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
I think it's just a good reminder too that one of the things I saw quite a bit before was when it is pouring and then people's sprinklers are going on top of that, creating additional output into areas that are already flooding. So it's going to be mindful of when you're using your sprinkler, which shouldn't be at all at this point. But I think that like set it and forget it mode often creates a sense of like, Yeah, it's just in the background, but folks
We-
can kind of,
We have been trying to campaign through our website to encourage property owners to be more mindful about their irrigation system. A lot of that is they're set up with a small computer that runs and operates their system. So if we're, looking for them to reduce the watering and do it during the prescribed hours, it's helpful because turf prefers the growth periods of watering during the early morning hours. So watering at mid-noon just makes the grass work a lot harder.
Yep.
So.
Excellent. Mark?
No questions.
Craig?
Want to remind people that even numbered addresses restricted to watering on Mondays
Correct.
between 5 and 8, and odd numbers Tuesdays between 5 and 8.
You got it.
Beautiful. I move that to declare a Phase 3 state of water conservation from May 1st, 2024 to November 1st, 2024.
Second.
That's Bodger and Lamb. I think we have to do a roll call because we're on Zoom, so.
sure. Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Okay, and next we have minutes the minutes dated April 10th, 2023, the last Water Commissioner meeting.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Great. And a
Thanks, Mike.
motion to adjourn the Water Commissioners meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
All right, great. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here,
you.
Rich.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. All right, welcome to the Select Board meeting of April 8th. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on local cable. It is a hybrid meeting, so people can watch us via Zoom. If you are watching on Zoom and you have a question, please put your question in the Q&A feature with your name and address, and Sean will let us know. We have Select Board member Jamie Stebbins is not able to be with us, so noted for the minutes. And if you want to start with introductions, Jen?
Sure. I'm Jennifer Stacy.
Mark Lamb.
I'm Dottie Fulgenetti.
I'm Craig Barger.
All right, so we do have a quorum. We are going to jump to item 9 to get a few of these over before our timed items start. So the first one is a road closing request, Easton Pride, June 15th, 2024, Main Street by the Rockery, Barrows Street extension from Lincoln to the Ames Free Library and Main Street, from the intersection of Main Center, Lincoln to the Ames Free Library. The event time is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the requested closure time is 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Amy, you want to come on up? So tell us a little bit about your event.
Yes, it's the third annual Easton Pride. The last 2 years we've held it at the sheep pasture. It's been growing in numbers, so for security and other reasons, we need a bigger space, so we're requesting that we use for the holiday festival. Last year we had about 1,000 people attend, which was pretty awesome. We've got music and vendors and food and family activities.
So you are Amy Gershom from the Human
Human
Rights
Rights
Committee.
Committee.
Excellent. Have you talked to like Oaks Ames Hall and the other?
Yep, yes. we've
Parties
worked
up
at
there.
Oaks Ames Hall. We've
Excellent.
reached out to all of the businesses in the area.
Okay,
We're working in collaboration with the library. We've got police detail covered. We've got porta potties covered. We've also been working with the Lions. John Morgan has been really helpful trying to help us understand how to use the space safely
that's
in
great.
this way.
We, the Cultural District did a Know Before You Go flyer the last time, showing people where parking is. If you remind me, I'll find that and get it to you. Or Pam Borblay has it. She's the one who designed it. And it was really helpful for people coming in on social media. We just did it for the art show this week too. And it gives a lot of great information for wayfinding on where people should be.
Great. Definitely.
So, excellent. Let me see. I think it's gone through, you're going to be coordinating with police, fire, and DPW.
Yep.
And you'll need trash barrels. That's another thing I remember from our summer concert series. Anyone have any comments or questions? Jen?
One of my favorite events. I'm sad to see it shift from sheep pasture, but it's for a really, really good reason. So this is really exciting and just really looking forward to it.
Thanks. Me too.
Same, this is, I know this event means a lot to Easton, a lot of people in Easton. And if it's growing, and this is its third year and you've outgrown your existing very large space, Feed Pasture is not small, then you're doing something right. So look forward to it.
Thanks.
Craig?
As a member of the HRC, I'm very excited that we're doing this again, Amy. It's always a great event, incredible turnout, and I'm very excited about it. So
Thanks.
This is great. I'm happy for you. I think it's great to move the venue around a little bit every once in a while, shake things up, give it a little bit of a different vibe. And everybody really has enjoyed it the last several years. So thank you for continuing it. It's a tremendous amount of work. And I know that you personally leading this, you're doing a lot, and the whole committee. So I want to really thank the Human Rights Committee for championing this.
Thanks.
So,
Means a lot to me too.
all right.
so I move to, I propose a road closing request from Easton Pride, June 15th, 2024. Main Street by the Rockery Barrow Street extension from Lincoln Street to the Ames Free Library, and Main Street from the intersection of Main Center, Lincoln to the Ames Free Library. The event time is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with the closure request from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Second,
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Good
Thank
luck.
you so much.
All right, next we have one-day liquor licenses. The first one is Fernandes Lumber Contractor Appreciation Event, 299 Depot Street, April 10th, 2024, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a storm date of April 11th, 2024. Is anyone here from Fernandes? Oh, I didn't even see you come in. Come on up, Frank.
Yeah. I was asked to help them with their event again this year. And it's a pretty good event. They invite their contractors, which include people from even the town, DPW and others, to come and see, what services and products they offer. And they have some product reps come, and it's really a pretty good event. And so they offer samples of beer, and they wanted to make sure that it was, legit. So they had requested that I got a one-day liquor license for them for that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Any
It's
comments?
a good
questions?
event. So if any contractors are interested in seeing some new products and what a local business can bring to them, it's a great event to go to.
And they have a new handyman service or
They
something, I
do,
think?
they
So,
do have a
yeah.
handyman service too, which has been very, very popular.
Right,
Yeah.
I heard that. Excellent. All right, any questions, comments from the board? Craig, you want to make a motion?
Move to accept a one-day liquor license for Fernandes Lumber Contractor Appreciation Event, 299 Depot Street, April 10th, 2024, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a storm date of April 11th, 2024.
Second,
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Okay, and next up, Fernandes Lumber Egg Fest 2024. That's 299 Depot Street, May 18th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. with a storm date of May 19th, 2024.
And again, this event is more focused towards the consumer and people who might be interested in purchasing grills in the season for the season. They do a great job of showcasing how you can use one of their big green eggs, and there's a lot of different ways that you could use it as a smoker or whatever. So actually, they've asked me, and this is the second year to do that we'll be cooking pizza in my station. Other people do smoked meats and hamburgers, other types of different foods. So you can taste different foods there and see the green eggs in process. So
Sounds
and-
like a lot of fun.
yeah, and it's another great event, and that has a good turnout too.
Yeah.
Okay, and these events do not require police details. Any comments or questions from the board?
No?
All right, you want to make a motion, Craig?
Move to approve Fernandes Lumber Egg Fest 2024, 299 Depot Street, May 18th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. with a storm date of May 19th, 2024.
Second,
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Excellent, thank you, Frank.
He's
What,
got two
while I'm
more.
here, it might be easier to do the charity guild, because I don't know. Oh, they are. Come on, why
Oh,
don't you-
come on up.
It's hard to change your agenda. Is that okay?
No, that was next.
No, there's a private party next, but then.
Oh, wait a
it's
minute.
after.
Okay. We'll do the charity guild next, and we'll do the private party afterwards. It's all shovel town all the time, so it's kind of hard to keep track of here. So we have a charity guild spring fundraiser at 50 Oliver Street, May 20, 2024, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. with a storm date of May 21st, 2024. So Frank has applied for a one-day beer and wine license for this fundraising event for the charity guild. An Easton police detail is not required. And it's nice to see you, Nancy Gustafson.
You too.
You want to tell us a little bit about the fundraiser?
Yes, the fundraiser is for the Charity Guild, which is the food pantry in Brockton. And we normally do one major fundraiser a year, and that's our gala, which is usually in October. But we wanted to add to this, and we chose to do something at the Shoveltown Brewery. And the event is supposedly, it was supposed to be a Mother's Day event, but we took that title out and made it Celebrating Women. And it's going to be May 20th. It'll be from 5 to 8. And our posters are starting to go out onto the various business establishments. And we just hope for a really good time. We will have raffles and good food and good beer and good wine.
So the Charity Guild is near and dear to my heart, as you
Yes.
know. It's a wonderful organization. It supports so many people. And if you follow them on social media, they have an Amazon account that you can just go on. If they say we need diapers or we need this or we need that, you can just go on, click on Amazon. It goes right to your page, a whole menu of things that you need. It couldn't be any easier to order and volunteer and donate that way. So, and you take cash donations all the time as well, cash and check. And so if anybody is inclined to support, that's another way, but definitely people should be interested in coming to your gala.
Hope so. That would be great.
Excellent. Any comments or questions from the board?
Nope.
All right, Craig?
I move to approve the license for Charity Spring Fundraiser, 50 Oliver Street, May 20th, 2024, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Storm date of May 21st, 2024.
Second,
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Audrey, yes.
Great. Thank you, Nancy. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, now back to the private party, 50 Oliver Street, May 3rd, 2024, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. with a storm date of May 4th, 2024. Frank has applied for a one-day beer and wine license for a private event. Easton Police detail are not required. So,
Yeah, it's a
That's just a private event.
for a couple that's getting married.
excellent. Any comments, questions? Would like to make a motion, Craig?
I move to approve the license permit for the private party, 50 Oliver Street, May 3rd, 2024, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. with a storm date of May 4th, 2024.
Second,
That's Bodger and Lamb.
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Audrey, yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
So much.
Thanks.
And yeah, and I just wanted to comment that the art show was really a success. It was a great event, and I'm looking forward to having more events for the Easton Cultural Council, doing a great job.
It really was. And thank you for all your great work and efforts there as well, Frank.
Thank you.
Beautiful charcuterie board. All right, next we have discussion and vote Green Communities Committee.
Dottie, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Stonehill College.
You have 5 licenses from Stonehill.
Oh, geez, where
So
am I?
right-
Hold on.
Next page, right?
Oh, sorry, top of the page. All right, we're getting there. Stonehill College, 320 Washington Street. There are 5 events. The first one is the President's Office celebration, April 20th, 24, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a storm date of April 21st, 2024. The Equestrian Team Banquet, April 27th, 2024, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a storm date of April 26th. Women's Basketball Banquet, May 3rd, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with a storm date of May 4th. Women's Basketball Trivia Fundraiser, May 4th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. with a storm date of May 5th. And the Baseball Alumni and Family Day, May 11th, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. with a storm date of May 12th. Any comments, questions?
I move to approve the Stonehill College request
The slate?
for the slate.
Second,
That's Bodger and Lamb.
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Audrey, yes.
Excellent. Okay, now the discussion and vote for Green Communities Committee. Proposed change and name to Environmental Stewardship Committee. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Thanks so much for fitting us in today. I'm Carolyn McCafferty. I'm one of the members of the Well, Community Committee right now, and we're coming forward to ask for a name change. So many of you probably know that the Green Community Committee, the GCC, was stood up back in 2009 so that the town could get to the standing of being a green community. When they achieved that goal, then all of the work that goes with reporting information stands with Public Works. And the Green Community Committee continued on and expanded our scope to include water conservation, recycling and refuge use, as well as the energy conservation, and then really trying to expand our education and awareness roles. And so as we've been working through this, we realized it was kind of time to come up with a new name. We spent a lot of time talking, also going through our mission and vision statement, trying to keep that clear and understandable by everybody here. So I think you may have gotten some information ahead of time. The mission is really very straightforward. We came up with the Environmental Stewardship Committee name, which will be ESC for short, which will be a lot easier to say. By going ahead and actually looking at a lot of the language and titles that were used out there. And NOAA actually has a really great piece about environmental stewardship. And what we really embraced about that was the involvement of the whole community in supporting the work that our committee is focused in on. So you can see that in our mission statement, it does end up saying that we're promoting environmental health and sustainability through awareness, education, and initiatives that will empower our community members to be change agents for a greener, more environmentally friendly Easton. So we have a whole list of goals, which, do I need to go over those with you? For the
Yeah, well,
reason-
you can say them so the public
Okay.
can hear them. Sure.
Thank you. So the goals are, first of all, is to work very closely with the Easton departments and the committees so that we can end up going ahead and be ensuring that we're amplifying the environmental friendliness and impact of different things that the town might be doing, and really trying to synergize that partnership. Then we're trying to also foster partnerships with not just town functions and our committees, but also businesses and nonprofits and different ways that we can support what's going on in town, because it takes all of us. It's certainly not going to be focused on us only. And so hopefully those synergetic efforts will help protect those natural resources. We're very blessed to have such a beautiful town and so many resources that are available to us. And then the third goal would be that we're supporting the town in various ways of conserving and protecting our water sources. So it's interesting again to hear the water ban restrictions to be put on. And sometimes people will be saying, are you kidding me? Like my basement's got a lot of water in it. So, why do we need that? So this will be important for us to help amplify why that's important. Some of the things like the trigger, I wrote some notes down. And we work very closely with the town on getting that messaging out correctly. Then we're also working on reducing and managing waste in ways that are positive for the environment, promoting energy use that's going to be aligned with the Massachusetts Clean Energy and Climate Plan goals, which are really starting to kick in. And then our hope is to also help minimize the impacts of dangerous pesticides and practices that harm our water and the environment overall. And then there are climate changes always facing us. And so going ahead and kind of being aware of that, keeping ourselves aware and educated, and then trying to relay that out to the community. So people are working on solid information and facts. And then lastly is to educate our public on the environmental issues and sustainable practices that are possible. So we're going to try to do that in a lot of different ways. We meet on a monthly basis, and then we'll just utilize every single means that we have to get the word out. So we're using the town's Facebook page, the web page. We're trying to make more effort to get with the local cable station. And then if we need to print information, but probably more QR codes, and trying to get out there and, be able to interact with the community at various events so that folks are aware. So that is where we are in terms of our name, and then how we fine-tuned our mission and goals to align with that. And then the last thing is that we needed a new logo, since our logo had Green Community Committee on it. And so we have a proposed new logo that has this leaf. this took, we're very lucky that we have someone on our committee who's a graphic person. And so we chose this because first it's a leaf and then it shows different points of where we could be focusing. It's clean and it's simple. It's easy to recognize. So it's our Nike swoosh, I guess. And so we made sure that we have our name in there and that it's in Easton, Massachusetts. So that's the work that we've been doing. And we hope that you think that this is a worthy thing to approve.
Awesome.
Any
Well, I'm going to start with
questions?
you, Jen, because this is an area that's near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about this. I think that the timing is fantastic. And I know that the previous situation kind of created some barriers and constraints that you're now free from to proceed and do great, important things in the community. And on the logo, it's actually really cool because you look at it, you can kind of see two different things. It can be a leaf or it can be like a water drop with like a tree growing.
Oh, that's what we wanted. Yes.
So I'm like seeing like, and I love that. It's a cool marketing like kind of angle here of like, how you can, there's opportunity there. So
Yes.
very, very cool. And I'm just really excited to see what comes out of the committee now and, very exciting stuff. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
The same, it's the perfect evolution of where you guys come from, where you're going, and the changes and the pivots and adapting to what is out there. So I think, this new beginning, even though it's not really a new beginning, but you get the idea, is fantastic, boost of energy. So wonderful.
Thank you.
Our representative, Jamie Stebbins, was
Yes.
already talking about this the
Oh,
other
good.
day. So
Mhm.
it's very exciting. And having been on the committee a while ago,
Mhm.
it's nice to see the evolution and change. And you did a very nice job of presenting it.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. I'm just representing a really great team. We got a nice chemistry going on right now. So,
Well, I think the timing on this is perfect. We've been really ramping up our advocacy and stewardship. So we had the municipal vulnerability plan that we worked on a few years back. We're doing phase 2 of that. We're also doing a climate action plan, looking at that and our energy use. And, with the new buildings that we've been working on, we spent a lot of time thinking about energy use in the new school, in the new municipal buildings, and in the housing, working with developers. Avalon, when they built Avalon, that was one of their most energy efficient projects that they had done to date. Every time something's built, it gets a little bit better on the next version because they learn so much. So it's, we have EV charging stations out here. We're really, really focused on that in a lot of different ways. And I think the resiliency is really important to accompany the stewardship. And I'm very happy that you're doing this. And I love the mission statement and I love the logo.
great. Well,
So-
thank you. Yeah, I think there's some nice momentum there. And I think one of the benefits we have as a committee is that we get to hear from the other committees, right? And we learn as we go. So we really need to put our heads together about how to sort of market this and really get out there. But new name and new look and new energy.
That's great. All right, Craig?
So we move to change the name of the Green Communities Committee to the Environmental Stewardship Committee.
Second,
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes?
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Great.
And if I could just ask the board to take a separate motion specifically to adopt the new charge of the Environmental Stewardship Committee, just for the record, please.
So moved, Barger.
Second,
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes?
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for being here tonight and for your great work. All right, we are at 6:01. So we're going to go to the timed items. We have a public hearing at 6 PM, a discussion and vote to recommend the acceptance of Lullaby Lane. Craig, if you'd read the,
Well, the Easton Select Board will hold a public meeting on April 8th, 2024 at 6 PM at the Easton Town Hall, Colleen Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Northeastern Mass. The purpose of recommending acceptance of the following: Lullaby Lane, Station 0+00 to Station 6+66.71. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed street acceptance should appear time and place designated for the public meeting.
okay, so the Planning and Zoning Board voted unanimously at their March 12th, 2024 meeting to recommend the acceptance of Lullaby Lane, a roadway in the Tanglewood Estates 2 subdivision. Acceptance of this road was contemplated and incorporated into the conditions of the permit of the project. At this public hearing, the Select Board will be asked to vote to accept it, and we have a map included in our packet for review. No objections or adverse comments were received from DPW, Fire, Police, Building, or Board of Health to the acceptance of this road. As is our practice, abutters have been notified of this hearing. The Director of Planning and Development, Stephanie Danielson, will be present via Zoom, there she is, to give us more details. And later in this agenda, on item 14, the board will vote as to whether to include and/or recommend the acceptance of this street as an article in the May 20th, 24 town meeting warrant. So Stephanie, welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. So would you like me to share my screen and show the map, the plan showing the roadway?
Sure.
Do that. Okay, can everyone see the plan?
Still
Not yet.
loading.
There
you
it
go.
is.
There it is.
Okay. So Lullaby Lane is a roadway that was approved as part of the Tanglewood 2 subdivision back in the early 2000s. It was finally completed within the last 18 months. As what Dottie read, the DPW and we received no adverse comments and actually received some recommendations that the board approved this road. It was always intended to be a public way.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board? Do we have anyone from the public that had any comments or questions on this project? Anything in the Q&A, Sean?
Nothing.
Okay, so this is pretty standard. Basically, the road has to be up to the standards, compliant, and this is just the process that follows that, right?
Correct. And once you vote to approve it and vote to recommend it to town meeting, it gets voted at town meeting. And then subsequent to that, the board will sign the deed and the road will be formally accepted and finally accepted by the town.
All right. Craig, you want to make a motion?
So I move to accept Lullaby Lane.
Second,
That's Bodger and Lamb.
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
All right, next at, is it 6:05? Just 6:05. So if you want to read the public hearing notice, Craig, or Shino.
Yeah, Shino one. The Select Board of Easton as licensing authorities will hold a public hearing, Colleen A. Corona, Boardroom, Easton Town Offices, 136 Elm Street, Easton, Mass. On Monday, April 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. for Restaurant 138 Incorporated, doing business as Shino at 620 Washington Street, Easton, Mass. Will be conducted pursuant to General Law, Chapter 138, Section 23, and Select Board policies to determine whether alleged violations occurred and whether a penalty, including further suspension or revocation, should be imposed.
Okay, so I intend to ask the board to vote to continue this hearing to May 6th at 6 p.m. Based on the availability of Shino was not able to make it to this hearing tonight.
So I'll move this public hearing to May 6, 2024 at 6 p.m.
Second,
That's Bodger and Lamb.
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Okay. Our next one is at 6:10, so we've got to give that a couple of minutes.
Dottie, if you want, perhaps Arbor Day proclamation can
perfect.
fit in between the two hearings.
All right, so we have an Arbor Day proclamation. Easton is a tree city. And the 2024, do you want to read the proclamation or do you want me to read it, Craig?
Go ahead, I can't find.
Okay, we get a lot of paper here tonight. Whereas the legislators of the Great and General Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts have adopted an act regarding the designation of Arbor Day throughout the Commonwealth. And whereas the purpose of the designation of Arbor Day throughout the nation is to encourage the planting of shade and forest trees, to encourage the harvesting of forest crops by approved conservation methods, and to encourage the protection of our forests from the scourge of devastating fires, insect, and diseases that will destroy the beauty and usefulness of our woodlands as well as their wildlife. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, produce oxygen, clean the air, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees increase property values and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal and provide an enduring heritage to succeeding generations. Now, therefore, we, the Select Board of the Town of Easton, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 26, 2024, as Arbor Day in the Town of Easton, and we urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, we urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Given under our hand and the seal of the Town of Easton, this 8th day of April in the year 2024. So,
So moved, Barger.
Second,
Bodger and Lamb,
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes?
full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Excellent. And we will sign that and we will post that on social media so that people will know. So what do we have after that one?
Just a reminder of the election.
Yep, so our annual town election is coming up on Saturday, April 20th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Oliver Ames High School. All information can be found at www.easton.ma.us/vote. I'd really like to encourage everybody to please make an effort to attend that day on election. It is the second part of April vacation, so some people feel that, you know, that's a challenge to get there. And in that case, we ask you to take a vote by mail ballot, file an application for that. If you already filled out an application earlier in the year for which election was that they sent those
The
out?
Secretary of State's office sent a mailer to everyone, and if you checked all elections, which includes a presidential primary, the primary and the election in November, you would, if you checked all elections, you would also get a ballot mailed to you for the town election as well.
Okay, so if you didn't do that, you can still request a ballot to vote by mail.
You can through this Friday.
And make sure that you either mail it in advance, you know, well in advance, or get it into the ballot box out here, which is probably the easiest, fastest way to do it to make sure that it does arrive in time. Local elections are really the ones that are the most important to the community, because the boards that will be school committee, select board, and other various positions on there, they're the ones that really make the day-to-day things in your community that you see. So it's really important to get out there. Some people just vote for state or federal elections, but as people that do the work, we really appreciate knowing that a lot of people will come out to vote to support these positions. So appreciate everyone who does that. So we are right at 6:10. Craig?
Okay. The Select Board of Easton as licensing authorities pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 166, subsection 22, will hold a public hearing in the Colleen A. Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Easton, Mass. on Monday, April 8th, 2024, at 6:10 p.m. to consider and act on a petition of Massachusetts Electric Company doing business as National Grid to install underground facilities on Tanglewood Drive and to install new secondary wire to serve 2 new homes on Tanglewood Drive, beginning at a point approximately 220 feet north of the center line of the intersection of Serenade Park. In accordance with the petition for plan number 30902484 dated March 20th, 2024, as shown on file with the Select Board's office.
So as Craig said, this is to install and maintain underground conduits and the necessary wire to serve 2 new homes on Tanglewood Drive. National Grid has advised that they do not anticipate any disruption in service during the installation. DPW Director David Field has reviewed the application and has no objection to the plan, provided that a street opening permit is obtained from DPW for the trench works. Is there any questions by the board? And also, I should mention, as our standard practice, a copy of the notice of hearing was mailed to out from our office to all the abutters of the proposed poll. Is there anyone in the room here that's here to speak on that? I know National Grid's here, but any questions or comments from the public? All right, no questions or comments from the board, so we don't really need you to comment unless you want to. Okay, thank you, TJ. Craig, would you like to make a motion?
I move to approve the Massachusetts Electric Company doing business as National Grid poll petition, plan number 30902484 at Tanglewood Drive.
Second,
So that's Bodger and Lamb.
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes?
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a couple of minutes.
Dottie, item 13, although it says it's an appointment, that's really kind of an oddity of the Economic Development Council charge. It's more ceremonial of the board to basically reaffirm the Planning and Zoning Board's nominee, Mickey Wolf, to the EDC. So there's no interviews for that. That's a quick item of the board wishes.
Sure. So the Economic Development Council, Mark, are you still the chair of that?
Yes.
A couple of years back, there was a request to have a seat filled on that committee by a member of the Planning and Zoning Board because there's so much interaction. So if you would like to make a motion, Craig, to nominate, to appoint Mickey Wolf,
I move to appoint
Michaela Wolf.
Michaela Wolf to the Economic Development Council appointment as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board.
With a term expiration through June 30th, 2024.
Second,
So that's Bodger and Lamb,
Stacy Wolf,
Lamb, Wolf?
Full Janetti Wolf.
Barger, Wolf.
Great. What else do we have? We can vote to accept the minutes of March 25th, 2024.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb,
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes?
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
All right, we got one more minute. Do we do the cold water meters? Or is that a little bit longer? Just wait
I
it
don't have
out?
it right in front of me. I would just wait 1 minute.
Okay.
Please.
This is like a tic-tac-toe board tonight.
It sure is.
Anomaly efficient. Love efficiency.
Sorry, Elizabeth.
Poor Elizabeth trying to take minutes. Where is she at now? All right, it's 6:15, Craig.
The Easton Select Board as licensing authorities will hold a public hearing in the Colleen and Corona Boardroom, 136 Elm Street, Easton, Mass, and via Zoom on Monday, April 8th, 2024 at 6:20 PM to consider and act upon an application for a junk dealer's license submitted by Collaborative for Wildlife Justice Incorporated, doing business as Wild Finds, 13 Elm Court, Easton, Mass, to engage in the collection, dealing in, keeping a shop for the purpose, sale, resale, or barter of junk, old and precious metals, and/or secondhand articles pursuant to Town of Easton bylaws, section 156-2C, with a plan on file in the Select Board's office.
Okay, so in our packet, we have the license application and the business certificate of this, this new company. Is anyone here for that? Come on up.
Sorry, those chairs get everyone.
Thanks for being here tonight. If you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company.
Absolutely. My name is Michael Siegel, and I'm the founding director and president of the Collaborative for Wildlife Justice and currently doing business as Wild Finds. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit that is primarily to educate and promote justice for wildlife, anti-poaching activities, and so raising funds both international for international purposes and also here in the States to basically do what we can to protect our wildlife. So currently we are starting a retail business just up the road here at 13 Elm Court called Wild Finds, and the proceeds from that will go directly to our 501c3. So the purpose of the junk license is so that we can accept tax-deductible donations for resale for as a continuation of our raising funds and our nonprofit mission, along with also new items, which will be craft goods and things along that nature.
I really wish that they would change the name of this because,
Yeah,
you know, junk license just
Yes.
doesn't really sound very
Yeah, it was,
appealing. What types of things will you be selling in the shop?
Yeah, so, you know, part of our, it's really vintage curios, yeah, antiques per se, and as well as any sort of craft goods that we procure sort of in the realm of wildlife and things like that. We also have some local artists that we, and jewelers and such that will be selling their goods. So those will be new items as well. So it'll be a mix of very eclectic. So, I mean, really anything. It's not, the items that we have for sale are not solely focused on wildlife. Anything, like I said, just from sort of a kind of thrift type items to anything we taken on as donations that kind of meet the need as well. So very eclectic mix, never, that's why it's kind of wild finds to kind of plan the name of, never know what you'll find in the wild.
Right.
So.
So kind of, did you curate this on purpose tonight to include all these? Because it really falls in line with, our climate, energy, environmental stewardship. So Easton really cares a lot about that. And I
Yeah,
think you'll find a
absolutely.
lot of good clientele. That's also located in the cultural district.
Yes.
So we have an art gallery there, the Ames Free Library. I don't know how you plan to market or expand that, but I'll make a note to put you on the newsletter list for
Oh,
the
that would be
cultural
great.
district, and you can connect with other organizations in that
Yeah,
area.
absolutely.
And the library is always looking for interesting content, if you have experts that want to come in and talk about that.
Yes.
And also Borderland State Park is right here, so there's
Yeah.
the sheep pasture, Langwater Farm, there's just, it's a really great place for you, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We did the Harvest Festival as a collaborative for wildlife justice there. I've been living in Easton since 2012 as well too, so pretty familiar. So definitely plan on tapping in just like you suggested. So
Great.
a lot of great resources as you noted.
Any comments or questions?
My 9-year-old's gonna be jazzed because every year we give her money to donate. And every year she always donates to wildlife causes. It's like her obsession is saving animals. So this is really cool to have this here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I just want, part of our mission too, secondary, is that we also have we raise money to bring veterans over to South Africa as part of a wildlife immersion experience to do with our anti-poaching operations to the partner we have out there, who's a military veteran from there. So it's all be going next week as well. So that's part of also our fundraising mission. So
Fantastic.
absolutely.
That's excellent. Mark?
I had no idea this existed in Easton. It's
Yeah.
like
It's relatively new, but we're getting there.
I wish I knew earlier because this is something to brag about. So fantastic. I look forward to seeing what you guys do and checking it out.
Craig?
I agree with Dottie. I think we should change it from junk dealers to something a little bit more appropriate. Are you looking for artists or are people who you would be interested in having their stuff shown at your
Yeah,
place?
absolutely. Yeah, we, like I said, it's pretty open space. We have a couple local artists already who will be donating their wares through both jewelry as well as print type artists. But yeah, absolutely. And that's what we plan on doing. It's relatively new. The nonprofit just started 2 years ago, tops. And I just leased a space a month ago. So yeah, definitely would be more than welcome to collaborate with. That's why it's Collaborative for Wildlife Justice. Collaborate with whoever wants to help with the mission. So absolutely.
Excellent.
So how do you mostly do outreach? Do you do through social media? I see that you have a wildfinds.org email. So do you have a website too?
Well, we do have the websites for both our Collaborative for Wildlife Justice and Wild Finds that kind of link back to each other. And the social media will be coming very shortly. This is a new venture. Like I said, we just technically the lease starts April 1st, but they were kind enough to let us in a couple of weeks early. So
Okay, we'll watch for
retail
that.
side.
We'll watch for that and we can
Absolutely.
post that on the economic development page's Facebook.
Exactly.
All right, awesome. Well, Craig?
So I move to approve the application for junk dealer's license, Collaborative for Wildlife Justice, Incorporated, doing business as Wild Finds, 13 Elm Street, Easton, Mass.
Second,
That's Bodger and Lim.
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes?
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
So thank you for choosing Easton
Oh, absolutely.
and welcome, and we wish you great success.
Yes, appreciate it very much. Look forward to working with all you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, 6:20, we have interview and vote for appointment to the Planning and Zoning Board. This is contested, so the first candidate is Kathy Kidd. Is she on Zoom? Okay, great.
Hold it up so you can see me. Turn my camera on. Is my camera on? I don't know.
I think she didn't accept that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep. There we go.
We can hear you. There you are.
Sorry. Hi.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I am driving back from Vermont. Came up here to see the eclipse. So
Oh,
was hoping to
great.
be at a rest stop by now, but I'm Traffic's been a little heavy.
All right, be safe. Don't look at us. Just look at the road. We'll just ask you questions. All right,
Sounds
so
good.
Kathy, you're serving as the alternate currently for the Planning and Zoning Board.
That is correct.
Okay. And just tell us a little bit about what are your thoughts about being on there now? Why do you want to continue? And anything else that you think would be relevant?
Sure. I actually really love it. I have enjoyed being on the committee these past few months, especially as we've gone through the MBTA communities plan to bring that to town meeting next month. I just find it fascinating the process that we go through, not only for that, but just for the the regular questions and permits that are brought before the committee. And I'm learning a lot at the same time, and I would like to continue to do that.
Terrific. Any comments or questions from the board?
I just appreciate the fact that you're willing to step up once again, Kathy.
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to stay involved.
Agreed.
Mark?
I'm also a little concerned to ask questions right now. Distractor, to be perfectly honest.
Love the commitment, though.
Yes, I mean,
Well-
that is dedication.
Well, I will say that that Kathy served on the 524 Depot Street Master Plan Development Committee and was very active in that and other various aspects of things in the town, and has been a great with attendance, great with showing up, great with asking questions, and really putting the effort into the Planning and Zoning Board. So we're going to let you go, Kathy, and we're going to interview the other two candidates, and we'll deliberate and vote, and you'll get an update afterwards.
Okay.
So
All right.
hope you
thank
enjoyed the
Appreciate it.
eclipse.
Yeah,
All
I'm,
right.
I'm sorry to have to done this from the car. I was hoping to be somewhere where I could have stopped to do this call, but it just didn't work out.
No problem. All right. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Technology, that's a first. So our next volunteer is, and if I mispronounce, please correct me, but Bishoy Soriel? Excellent, thank you. So just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself. We do have your application, so we've seen it, but for the people at home.
Sure. My name is Bishoy Sorial. I'm an attorney and I reside here in Easton. I've had roots here in Easton since about 99 when my family moved here, and I graduated OA in 2002.
Excellent. So what, if you want to talk about your relevant education and experience?
Sure. So I went to UMass Boston. I have a degree in political science and international relations. And after that, I received my JD from Suffolk University Law School. I worked in private practice, a large British law firm for a while, and I've been working in the tech sector and tech transactions and attorney since then.
Okay. And I think, one of the things in here that I thought was really great is that you list your skills as negotiation, collaboration, problem solving, adaptability, and effective communication. So I think those are great skills for all our boards and committees.
Thank you. Especially this one.
Yes. Any questions? We'll start with you, Jen.
No specific questions, just, are you aware of the time commitment and there's no challenges with that?
I have attended some of the meetings online,
Mhm.
but I don't know the entire time commitment, no.
Is it Monday nights, every other Monday or?
It's I think it's like
Similar
every
to the
other,
select.
every
board.
other
They
Monday.
have a relatively meaningful amount of meetings, usually bi-weekly. It's typically Monday, but they meet quite regularly all 12 months of the year.
Yeah, it's not a light load.
Yeah. Lucky for me, I work from home full time,
Right.
which is I don't love all the time, but it's flexible. So I do have some flexibility with that.
That's great.
No other questions? You have a wonderful background that, would be an asset to any board or committee, so
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yeah, in that same vein, so there's so many boards and committees in this town. What about planning and zoning specifically were you drawn to?
It seems to be a hot issue that seems to be contentious. Sometimes I think, sometimes for good reasons, sometimes not. But also it's one of those major issues that's facing a lot of small towns like Easton. Land use and how do you balance that with affordability and enough green space? And, we're seeing big decline in forestation in Massachusetts. So it's my way of applying those skills that I mentioned to that committee specifically.
Great, great. Thank you.
Craig?
I don't have any questions. I'm impressed with you and what you just said.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, the next interview is Alan Weeks. I take it you're Alan. Come on up. Thank you for being here tonight.
Sure.
And you know the drill by now, so just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your interest is in the planning board. We have your resume here, or your application, but for the people at home.
Sure. No, I've lived in town since 91, I want to say. And I was served on the planning and zoning board. I want to say it was circa 2004 to 2008. Colin Gillis was a good neighbor of mine. I believe he was the secretary at the time. Chris Cohn was the chairperson. And then he was then succeeded by Christine Santoro. So I really enjoyed my time on the planning board. I was reaching a point though in my career where it was becoming very demanding. I had to do a lot of international travel. So I had to resign my seat, focused on my career. And I've since stopped working full-time. I'm a part-time consultant. I review plans for folks, do structural drawings and whatnot, registered professional engineer. So I have that capability in terms of reading plans and whatnot. I enjoyed doing that when I was on the planning board, you know, being the go-to engineer to talk with the folks about the lighting plans and, you know, all the different things. When I was on the planning board, we did the Target Plaza. That's probably one of the biggest projects that we did. We did the re-engineering of the Five Corners intersection, the mobile car wash. So, you know, there were, I'm sure, a ton more. I don't remember them all. But now I'm at a point where, you know, I'm trying to give something back, you know, having, you know, done a lot of different things in my career. In addition to my consulting, I'm doing some pro bono work with startups, working with startup CEOs, trying to give them some, you know, some counseling. It's through the MIT Enterprise Forum. So, and I thought this would be a great time to get back involved with the planning board. So.
Well, that's great. Any questions? We'll start with you, Jen.
No questions. Again, this is going to be a really difficult decision tonight because I know Kathy's background and you both presenting tonight are bringing amazing skills that, again, would be a huge asset. And based on your experience, you know the commitment and have spoken to that and the passion and reason why is there. So no questions from me.
Mark?
The same. I have no questions. You know what you're getting into. You clearly have a fantastic background. This is going to be difficult.
Craig?
It's always difficult when there's one position and three qualified
Yeah.
candidates. You bring back some memories with some of the names you just threw out there. So I don't have any specific questions, but I just thank you very much for stepping up again.
Yeah, I heard you talking with the alternate. It's funny, when I was leaving the planning board, Greg Strange was the alternate.
Oh, wow.
And we know
Now you're dating yourself.
a very long tenure.
That's
Greg and I
great.
were both avid skiers. So
And you want to come back for more. That's even better. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it.
So, you know, this is one of the biggest challenges of our board. We do big things, we vote on big things, and these are the most stressful ones, I think, for us when we have great candidates and there's only one seat available. Generally speaking, if somebody is an alternate and they want the full position and they've already put in the time and, you know, to learn, we are inclined to move them forward to the permanent seat. That's how I feel about Kathy. I think that she has put in the time and, you know, it takes a while to learn to get up to speed. If we decide to put her in that in the permanent position, then that opens up the alternate position. So we re-advertise for that and that will be available. So I don't know how the board members feel about moving Kathy forward and then opening up that seat for the alternate.
I strongly agree with that. This is an extremely difficult decision, but I think that principle is important because people, you know, who put the time in should recognize that she's put the time into learning and building up the skill set that contributes to this. And I think she's done a fantastic job so far. So I would agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, you become an alternate so that you don't become an alternate, right? Like that's your starting point.
Right.
Your goal is to be on the board fully immersed. And Kathy's done a fantastic job. I mean, you guys make this so difficult. If that wasn't the case, I don't know what I would do. To be perfectly honest, I don't know what I would do. But that being the case, it's Still difficult, but I do agree with you.
Yeah, I think it's
Right.
important to acknowledge somebody who's already been on the planning board and has done some of the work already. But I concur with you that, and Jen, this is always a terribly difficult decision to have to make. And we appreciate the fact you stepped up and hope that you don't be disappointed if we decide to go with Kathy at this point.
There will be, if she is appointed, though, there will be an alternate position available.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
We'll advertise that. And honestly, the Planning and Zoning Board and the Zoning Board of Appeals from time to time have turnover. And sometimes it's a lot of turnover in a short time. Sometimes it's a Greg Strange years and years and years on the board, right? And so when there is turnover, it's sometimes hard to find people or it takes a long time. So to have two people that are really interested in this, if you both apply for the alternate seat, only one can get it, but we look for opportunities in other places for anyone.
There's also a zoning board of appeals seat currently open.
Oh, there is?
There is.
Oh, I
There's a
didn't
seat-
realize
There's a
that.
zoning board of appeals seat soliciting interest right now as well.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that the Zoning Board of Appeals has a seat open there. So, take a look, both of you, at that and see if anyone's interested in that, or watch for the vacancy if it seems like we're leaning towards Kathy on that. So,
I think so.
Craig, you want to?
Yeah, I would make a motion to appoint Kathy Kidd as the full-time member of the Planning and Zoning Board.
Second, Lamb.
That's Bodger and Lamb,
Stacy Ken?
Lamb Kid.
full Genetti Kid.
Roger Kidd.
All right. So again, thank you very much. And there's a pathway for you guys to move forward and still be able to be involved. So, right, I appreciate it.
Thank you both.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
Hope to see you again. Excellent.
All right. What time are we at? 6:34? See what we've done here so far.
We got plenty of time.
Well, I know we won't be doing the town administrator's budget change memo in 3 or 4 minutes.
Water meters.
We could do the water meters.
Sure. Thank you, Dottie. And so for the board's benefit, in your packet, there is a contract extension for the supply and delivery of cold water meters. This is for a contract of Styles Company who we've worked with through the water division in the past, and the water division is satisfied with their work. This is a 1-year extension at no price escalation. So Operation Manager Tierney recommends award. So do I. Funding would be available from the water division operating budget.
All right. Any questions? We do this every year, so.
Absolutely
That's
none.
pretty standard.
Yep.
All right, Craig.
Now, I'm trying to find where
Sorry,
we
it's
are.
item 15.
Okay, so I motion to approve WAT 2022-01 extension, Styles Company Incorporated, cold water meters.
Second,
All right, so that's Bodger and Lamb.
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
All right. Do we want to just take a brief recess or do we have another one?
Item 16 is just a
16,
brief memo
Memo, yeah.
that I believe the board could get to, and then I would agree, Dottie, but just a recess till 6:45 if there's any time remaining.
Okay, so item 16 is a vote for a preservation restriction at 555 Foundry Street for the historic fence CPA restoration. In our packet, we have a memo about the fence. We have the preservation restriction agreement and photos of the fence. So essentially what the agreement says is, I have a tough time with grantee and grantor.
So the agreement protects the town's interests. So this is a historic, beautiful, if you have not yet seen it, at the corner of Quanticut and Foundry. This was a Community Preservation Act Committee project that was funded in 2022, 19th century iron fence across from former Foundry. It is on private property, and so the way that the town's interest is preserved, the interest being historic preservation in a national historic district, which is Furnace Village, is that a preservation restriction on that fence, now that it has been restored, I believe by an Easton company, which is awesome, is to accept this preservation restriction. And so the chair of the Historical Commission, Tim Hurley, as well as community planner Wayne Beitler, went out to do visual inspections of the fence themselves, make sure it meets the specs that they had expected. Now we're pitched to the Community Preservation Act Committee. And then the property owner's attorney, as well as Easton's town council, have reviewed and approved the preservation restriction. So the board's role here is voting to accept that preservation restriction and to authorize you, Dottie, as chair, to sign it.
Okay.
That'll protect the town's interest in the historic fence.
And what that says is that the property owner has to carry insurance against that fence and maintain it. So if there is damage to it, they're responsible to file the insurance on that. And they're going to be selling those two homes, and the next two property owners also have to have that. It goes in the form of a deed restriction that's filed with the Registry of Deeds and goes with the property.
All three of the properties or just the Leach House?
I thought there were two properties.
Well, it's a duplex, I believe, but the parcel that the fence is on.
Yeah.
I don't believe the two next to it are on the same parcel, but I don't want to be
Right.
quoted on that.
I thought it mentioned two property owners in the.
That could be because it's a duplex on one
Right.
parcel.
Yeah. Okay.
So I move to accept the preservation restriction and to authorize the chair to sign it as requested. 555 Boundary Street Historic Fence.
Second.
So that's Bodger and Lamb.
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes.
Barger, yes.
All right. So we're going to take a brief recess until 6:45 when we come back to start interviews for the Veteran Services Officers. ECAT, if you want to put us on pause. Great, thank you. So I just wanted to, so we're about to interview 3 candidates for the Veteran Services Officer. And I just want to let people know that the live cable broadcast by ECAT of this meeting will be temporarily paused during the timed interviews of the Veteran Services Officer candidates beginning at 6:45 p.m. This is to promote a fair interview process where the same questions asked of each candidate cannot be heard in real time in advance of a scheduled interview. The cable broadcast will resume when the board begins deliberations on their appointment, and the question and answer section of the interviews will be broadcast in full on future airings of the meeting. So people will be able to see it in the future, but just not tonight. So does ECAT have to do anything special?
Yes,
or-
I think ECAT's
Yeah.
going to put a panel up just so anyone following along knows we'll be back at about 8:15, and we'll wait for them to do that, and then we can go get our first candidate.
Got that, ECAT?
There we go.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, great, thank you. Which is the Town Administrator's Fiscal Year 2025 Budget Change Memo number 2.
Sure, thank you, Dottie. So this morning I sent to the board, and we'll provide online and to the public tomorrow a brief, about 2.5-page memo. We usually don't issue them every meeting, but there's a lot of work we have to get through this budget year in particular, given where the year started. So this is mostly a revenue adjustment memo. This documents the changes that we've made to the preliminary fiscal 25 budget that was first issued in February. We had the first change to it late March. The adjustments to revenues, including proposed reserve fund use, reduce the deficit from about 2.5 million to a $700,000 deficit that we still need to close up in order to produce a balanced budget. I expect a third and final change memo ahead of the April 24th, 25th budget hearings of the school committee and the finance committee. There's an itemized table on the top of this memo. I will not read every item, but there's roughly 3 or 4 categories of revenue adjustments here. First is taxation, adjusting the new growth estimate upward by about $200,000. And so I had alluded to in previous issues of the budget that one form of revenue relief coming, we believe, in fiscal 25 is that the Shovel Works TIF, the Tax Increment Finance Plan, expires at the end of the current fiscal year. And so the value of that property will be basically assessed as new growth, right? And so the finance department did a analysis of the value, and an estimate is roughly 200,000 of new growth that could be attributable to that. Typically, we'd rather be more conservative with new growth estimate and just go with a preliminary estimate, about 750,000, and revise it upward in the fall if this estimate of new growth comes through, hopefully higher. But just given this scale of deficit that we're dealing with, we're recommending this estimate now. If new growth falls short of that estimate, then the budget would need to be amended in the fall. So that's the adjustment in taxation. But one revenue category with no change is state aid. That remains the single largest contributor to the town's longstanding structural revenue deficit, particularly challenging this year. We expect the House Ways and Means Committee to issue the first iteration of the budget since the governor filed in January on Wednesday of this week. We have been lobbying hard, as has the Massachusetts Municipal Association, the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, particularly for increasing minimum aid, which is in the governor's proposal, still at only $30 per pupil. That's a less than 1% increase in revenue to the Easton Public Schools from the state next year, which is insufficient, not coming out of 20% cumulative inflation, and is tantamount to a cut in your spending power in the current environment we're in. So we will see where the House Ways and Means Committee lands on Wednesday, and if there's any adjustments there, we will incorporate them moving forward. Local receipts, sure.
Representative Doherty indicated that she was pretty confident it was going to go to $60 from $30. She's a member of the House
Yes.
Ways and Means.
Yes, so that would be, we've been in contact with Representative Doherty and Senator Timmelty, and they successfully lobbied for that to be increased to 60 in the past 2 years, and we would very much appreciate if that could occur again. The Easton MMA Superintendent Association long lobbied for $100 minimum aid, but we of course welcome any progress there. That would make a big difference. Makes a big difference every year, particularly this year. So we'll definitely follow that closely. Local receipts. So based on pretty healthy year-to-date actuals collected in our local receipts. So you look at meals taxes, building permits, things of that nature. Forecasts for a variety of these accounts have been upgraded and increased as shown throughout the budget summary. So this will increase the local receipt forecast by about $270,000 for a total assumed growth of 5.5% over the current year. Other revenues. So Easton is a beneficiary of several Ames trust funds. Annual income distributions are part of the operating budget revenue forecast. In recent years, distribution actuals have exceeded estimates, and so we have upgraded the forecast next year to be closer to what those actuals are. As noted in both the preliminary budget and the first change memo, existing town and school programming related to substance use prevention and mental health are eligible expenditures for opioid settlement funds that the town has been receiving through those attorneys general agreements. Those have revenue that will come in different amounts from manufacturers and distributors in the next 7 to 15 years. The funds received to date are in excess of $300,000. I recommend $150,000 be used as a revenue source in fiscal 25 budget to preserve these services in the town and school budgets. Based on the current information we have about those settlement agreements, we believe that we're going to be able to sustain an annual contribution towards these existing services for at least the next few years. So this isn't like it's not permanent revenue, but it's not one-time revenue that is a cliff immediately next year. So an area of major change here is in reserves. So Easton has, I think for actually everyone here, sometimes I'm a select board, sometimes I'm a finance committee. We've worked very, very, very hard in the past 7 years. More than that since the last attempt at and the failure of an operational override in 2016. We've adopted a series of very conservative financial policies as far as the use of reserves in the budget, the use of free cash in the budget, and the goals that we've set for ourselves for fund balance policies to really build up our reserves. And we've been very successful through many successive difficult town meetings where department heads and the staff have had to be to do more with less and to go without, and voters have had to make tough choices about the level of programming that we can sustain within the means of Prop 2.5. And so we've been able to build our stabilization fund from about 1.7 million to nearly 6.9 million working together. So it's not lightly that I suggest, but I think we need to look and recognize the challenge of situation that we're facing, and that it's not just Easton. If you read any of the local press about particularly the challenges facing school finances right now around the Commonwealth, we're heading into a difficult few years. And so we need to be judicious, but sometimes being judicious means actually using some of the reserves we've built. As much as we would like to continue building that, and it is so critical to continue to have strong financial management to maintain our bond rating as we continue to make these investments in our facilities that voters have generously approved on multiple occasions. The scale of programmatic cuts that would occur were we to try to balance the entire deficit this year solely through reducing departmental requests would be it would have extremely negative impact on the community. And so at this time, I'm recommending that we move free cash closer to what our policy maximum is, which is 50% of what's available, which is not where we started the budget, as well as recommending 670,000 of stabilization fund dollars. That's below 10% of the total balance, because this is not going to go away next year. So we cannot, have a $3 million deficit out of the gate and just put 3 million of stabilization in. That cannot happen. These reserve funds have been built for a rainy day, which is here now. And I think that their use is warranted and appropriate. But that said, and this is in the memo, I'm reading verbatim, forgive me, but reserves used to close today's gaps can't fix the structural challenges that we face. And they also guarantee that we're facing that commensurate number next year. Haven't adjusted and cut departmental requests further. That's ongoing. We're meeting with the town departments again. We are also working with the school's finance director, Nightingale, and I will be going with Superintendent Kroll to the school committee tomorrow night to talk about their budget, talk about the broader statewide economy as it pertains to municipal and school finance, and where Easton's reserves are and what the next few years look like. So we look forward to that discussion with them. I expect by the time we balance budget, town departmental budgets will be reduced by another 180,000, which will put them at about a 4% over fiscal 24 levels. And we'll have details on that in the change memo ahead of the hearings. And then, of course, we'll have all of our department heads along with the schools and with the select board and the finance committee. So we've made a lot of good progress. But additional reductions in the operating departments for town schools are still needed. Any ground that's left uncovered through those adjustments is likely going to necessitate further reserve use. I don't think, although you never say never, if we have that upgrade of state aid, that will help. But going from 30 to 60, minimum aid is about 100,000. It helps, especially when there's 700 left. But there are no good choices. These are all challenging decisions, and we all collectively are working with the department head staff and with you, and will be with the community, to balance leveraging reserve capacity that we've built, while understanding that it necessarily will still be there tomorrow and is not going to get us away from the fact that we are moving into a really hard few years and a quite regressive period of time. But given the scale of the fixed cost increases that we're trying to mitigate with things like transportation, special education, healthcare, and the nearly 20-year-long structural revenue deficit that we've gotten quite good at dodging and weaving around, but is always there. I think that this admittedly imperfect path forward moving towards balance is nonetheless the best of our available options. So I'm happy to answer any questions. There's a detailed summary sheet in here showing these adjustments. Again, we'll be visiting the schools tomorrow night. Budget subcommittee will be meeting the week after that. And then we'll be back with everyone again at the end of this month. So we'll keep at it until we're home.
Quick question. Is it accurate that from where we began in deficit to where we're at now, the schools have not contributed at all to it? Not yet. I'm not like pinning it on them.
Yeah,
So there's been
No, because the figure that we put in the budget, our budget preliminary draft is usually available ahead of the schools. And so we put a placeholder. That was not necessarily representative of what a level service budget was for the schools.
So they could come in higher than what we have.
Well, I think
Kinda where I'm going,
their
yeah.
preliminary number was higher than that. It was closer to 10%.
Okay.
And so, they're dealing with 10% increases to transportation contracts that are up, that are necessary services, certain special education costs. And so
I look at this and I say, you've done your job. We need some other people to help out in this as well.
yes, and again, just to be clear, we were working with a placeholder, and that number was higher. It's not lost on myself or the superintendent, but and similarly on the town side, town budgets don't normally come in where they did, which is at 6.5%.
Right.
Preliminary requests for town departments are usually closer to 4, 5, and we get that closer to 2.5 to 3. But it's a really challenging time, really across the state. There's a lot of districts you're seeing double-digit % increase requests coming through. So.
Fantastic work refining this and coming back with this shift in a positive direction. So I know it's still a difficult road ahead for sure, with a lot of trade-offs and questions in place, but thank you. I really appreciate the conservative approach to start, and then
Right.
I appreciate the detailed but succinct milestones you're carrying us through along the way as the budget gets built and resolved, and that these are all online for the public to see. It couldn't be any more transparent than this. So I hope people are looking at it.
Yeah, that was my point. Exactly. That giving this kind of information to the public so they know exactly what you're doing, what we're doing, what challenges we're facing. Much of it is outside of our control.
Sorry.
All right. Thank you very much. We are going to move on to item 14, which is to review the May 2024 annual town meeting warrant draft. Where am I on here? So the first one is Article 4, payment of bills from a prior fiscal year.
Sure. So we actually do have one this year, which is unusual. We are very, 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 very thorough. But we will have a bill associated with Household Hazardous Waste Day from last year for the, I believe, the hazardous waste disposal that's usually done through Clean Harbors, who we do a contract with. We've worked with many years. We actually don't have a contract with them this year. So we have a slightly modified program for Household Waste Day that we're trying to get back up to where it was next year. But there was differences of opinion between legal counsels on the contracts that were kind of drafting back and forth for quite some time. And by the time this finally got resolved and signed, that year had closed. So this would be paid out of available water funds, which is the departmental revenue that does pay for removing those materials each year. So I'd recommend
Pay our bills.
well, yes, we have to, but a vote.
To include and
to
recommend.
I believe we already voted to include.
Do we? I was going to say that looks
Maybe
familiar.
not, maybe not.
No, we didn't.
Okay, so I would say an include and recommend.
And we do not have a figure yet, but we will have a figure.
We will, yes, we'll update the warrant with the exact
Okay, so-
amount, and it will be shown on the finance plan as well for where the revenue is coming from, which would be water funds.
Okay, so I move to recommend and include Article 4.
Second,
That's Bodger and Lamb.
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes.
Barger, yes.
All right, moving on to Article 16, zoning amendment, section 235 for community housing overlay district.
I believe our planning and zoning board chair, Bob Stetson, and Director Danielson have been patiently in the Zoom room, and they're joining us now.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening.
Hello. So,
evening.
so we are looking at Article 16, the zoning amendment for the community housing overlay district.
Yes, and we have a presentation. Bob will start. Can share my screen.
While Stephanie pulls that up, thank you to the select board for allowing us to appear remotely. We appreciate that. My name is Bob Stetson. I'm the chairman of the planning board, and with me is our planning director, Stephanie Danielson. As most of you know, the MBTA Communities Law was passed in January of 2021. It applies to all cities and towns except Boston that have or are adjacent to communities that have MBTA transit stops. Easton, like most other cities and towns in eastern Massachusetts, is included among the communities to which the law applies. The law requires that all such communities create reasonably sized districts of by right multifamily zoning, the purpose of which is to combat housing shortages, a well-documented problem in Massachusetts and elsewhere. Importantly, under the law, the failure to comply will cause such communities to forfeit the right to apply for many state funding sources and programs. Stephanie, if you could go to the next slide, please. Some of the funding sources are the Housing Choice Initiative, the Local Capital Projects Fund, and MassWorks. As you can see from this slide here, Easton has received tremendous financial support from these programs over the years. Unlike some of the communities perhaps that you see in the news, we likely don't have the luxury of forfeiting our right and entitlement to these programs, nor should we have to. After nearly 36 meetings and a tremendous amount of public feedback, we have a proposal that Stephanie's going to walk you through that we believe complies with the law, satisfies the underlying purposes of the law, hopefully increases the town's tax base, and will, we believe, garner sufficient support at a town meeting to pass next month. Stephanie?
Okay. And, you know, Bob mentioned that the requirement to adopt this zoning also kind of hinges on compliance with that. If a community doesn't comply, they won't be eligible for those grant programs. But one of the other reasons that it matters in Easton is that housing in Easton, as Bob was mentioning, is likely unattainable to many who ask the question, can my children afford to live here when they grow up? Kids go off to school, they want to come back, they might want to live with their parents, have grandchildren that are close by, and now it may be difficult for many of them to come back and afford to live in Easton. Can parents afford to live here as they age and stay in a community that they have been a part of for many, many years and where they would like to grow old? And in many circumstances, if there are life changes that occur, is it possible for someone to stay in Easton? So I just want to do a quick reminder review of what the MBTA community law requires. As we all know, it is not a building mandate, it is a zoning requirement. Bob talked about the fact that you had to have a reasonably sized district. What is required by the guidance is that you allow multifamily housing as of right, meaning that you can't require a special permit or special hurdles for a developer or property owner to go through to develop multifamily housing. The district has to be at least 50 acres in total. That can be comprised of sub-districts. And the minimum allowance or ability for number of units needs to be 15 units per acre with a district-wide capacity of 10% of the municipality's permanent housing stock. And in Easton, that would be 913 units. So this is where the planning board started last into October. They were looking at 3 areas One around Robert Drive off Eastman Street that included the Avalon. At that time, it also included the shopping plazas as well as the properties to the south of Robert Drive here. Another area was the intersection of Belmont and Washington Street at the southeast corner, the properties that you can see shown here in brown as well. And then the properties around Roach Brothers up off the north end of Washington Street. So starting in May, the planning board met 12 times to discuss and hold hearings on the proposed zoning and receive feedback and input from residents. Between myself and the planning board chair, we did 20 plus presentations to other municipal boards to reach out, educate people on what the zoning was, what the zoning wasn't, and again, to get feedback and input. We had a dedicated web page with all full information on what the zoning was, what the requirement was, links to the state website, as well as an ongoing access to the districts as they were being considered. And we also had a running banner on the town homepage to let people know when meetings that had a link to the webpage, which also told people when the meetings were being held and how they could submit testimony on the proposed zoning district. The feedback that we received could really be kind of boiled down to, in the Eastman Boundary District, residents were concerned that if this zoning was adopted the way it was originally being proposed, that there would be a significant increase in traffic, which is already a challenge along Route 106. And they were concerned about that and how that would affect them. They talked about the fact that a lot of new development is occurring in that area, which is by design. The town adopted new zoning for that district to revitalize that area with mixed uses, increased residential housing, more commercial development, and it has been succeeding. And they felt that there were other districts or areas in town that would be suitable locations, other areas that were also near shopping centers, access to food, restaurants, recreation opportunities, and in close proximity to major transportation corridors. And we're also within reasonable driving distance of the neighboring transit stations. The Belmont, Washington Street area, the feedback we received was mostly supportive. We had property owners that are very interested in being able to take advantage of the zoning. And then generally, what we heard from people was, don't oversize the district or the capacity. The people understood that the town needs to comply with this, but really keep it to just a little bit more than what's needed, both from an acreage standpoint and from the overall capacity, district capacity. And we did get some comments from people who thought that the districts might be a little too small and that maybe the housing that it was designed to incentivize wouldn't occur. Based on that feedback, the zoning districts were revised, and you can see here, this district was revised to just include the existing Avalon properties. And if you look at that, that's a total of 24 acres. And it also, in its current build out, is 15 units per acre. So that would comply with the per unit per acre requirement. Along Belmont and Washington Street, these properties here on the left were removed, and the properties here on the right, or the more easterly side of the original proposed district, have been kept in. And then we have Roach Brothers Plaza, which was included. So those are the districts that the board voted on and are before the board tonight for consideration and recommendation.
Excellent. That was a lot of work, Stephanie and Robert and the board. And we really appreciate, I mean, really went over and above with all of the public meetings and all the outreach that you've done. So I think everybody's heard of it by now. So hopefully there's we're not starting at square one on town meeting with this. I think that you've done really an amazing job doing it. Very patient. This is hard stuff for people to understand that aren't doing this for a living. And I think you've made it very easy to understand and very digestible for people. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Dottie, if I could just add something as well. A couple of things that have happened since then. We're continuing the ongoing education process, making sure that people do understand ahead of town meeting what the zoning requirement is, how it works, what's being proposed, and how the board arrived at the final districts. Bob and I both attended the Easter egg hunt that Health and Community Services sponsored just a few weeks ago, and handed out business cards that had a QR code and also the link to our website so that people could learn more if they didn't know anything about the zoning, or if they knew something but wanted to make sure that they fully understood it. And Saturday night, we had board members that were at the art and media show over at the ECAT Center. And we will have set up at the Spring Festival, the NRT Spring Festival on May 4th. And we'll be continuing that type of outreach as opportunities arrive, and we will be scheduling a couple of open houses, inviting people to stop by and learn more.
Great. Excellent. All right. Any questions, comments?
No.
I think that, I hope that when this comes before the town, folks pause and listen and absorb it before reacting. And it's really important for our community. What's at stake is a lot. And I think the communication and understanding of what this is from, when we initially heard of it, it feels like a really long time ago now, but it sounded scary and big, and it's been broken down in a communication style that makes it clear and understandable. And I think puts forth an opportunity for us to be thoughtful about how we consider Easton's growth trajectory and how we mindfully tackle affordability and housing choice in this community. So,
Well said.
Yeah, much in the same. I know you guys have been working on this for a very, very, very long time. You have done your due diligence. You have gone the extra mile. You have presented this a million times. You've reached out to the community. If there are people there on the night of town meeting and they're not aware or they're confused, I do hope they ask questions because the answers are there. And there is still, to this moment, a misconception. So, we'll of course be prepared for that. But to Jen's point, this is, it's inevitable, some form of this. So to control it to a degree, it is very responsible on our part and your part. So I thank you for your well over a year's worth of work, and we shall see on town meeting night.
Yeah, I think it's very important, all of the groups that you've spoken to, that the people who understand what the zoning bylaw is and what it isn't, come to town meeting. Never assume that something will pass because it makes sense. So I'm hoping that we'll continue to have some more outreach done. And those people who have been educated about this will in fact show up at town meeting and be very supportive.
We appreciate all that support, and I know that really the thinking about this went back well before even the public meeting started, and we kind of looked at that Robert Drive area as possibly the only location where we even needed to do this zoning when this all kind of started. But because of the thoughtful feedback that we received from many groups, many citizens over the course of a very long period of time, we really did listen, and we really did break it down into what we think are reasonably sized districts that hopefully still satisfy the goals, and hopefully will alleviate some of the concerns that we were hearing from the citizens.
Excellent.
Great. All right, can I get a motion to include and recommend Article 16?
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb?
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Great. And thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you both.
Thank you all.
So next we have Article 17, the street acceptance for Lullaby Lane.
Stephanie, am I correct that this is basically a formality at this point after the hearing? This is a town meeting component of what was already voted as a recommendation?
Correct.
Great, thank you. So that's the case. I would recommend to the board a vote to include and recommend consistent with your vote a few hours ago.
So moved, Barger.
Second,
Bodger and Lamb?
Yes, Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes?
Barger, yes.
Excellent. All right, now we are on to item 17,
Thank you,
discussion.
Stephanie.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
thank
Good
you,
night.
Steph.
Good night.
Item 17 is the discussion and vote town administrator's fiscal year 2024 performance evaluation. So every year after the town elections, with the board freshly reorganized or potentially new members, that group sets the goals and objectives that the town administrator is going to be evaluated against for that year. Right before the town elections, that board who set those goals and objectives also evaluates the performance to those. So we have Connor's annual evaluation. The choices are exceeds, meets, or I don't even know the third one. We've never used it. Does not meet expectations. I will tell you that this is a 28-page document. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of work happening. So it's broken down into several categories: finance, public infrastructure, facilities and public works, climate and energy policy, planning and economic development, public health, safety, community wellness, quality of life, community engagement and inclusivity, human resources management, labor relations, and organizational sustainability, town government efficiency, effectiveness and resiliency, service and support to the select board, inter and intra-governmental relations, and professional and personal growth. So each one of the select board members scored this and then sent it in, and it was compiled. So they're really just kind of reading this for the first time now. So Connor does a self-evaluation. He scores himself, and then we match that. I'm just going to run through the score sheet very quickly so that you can kind of get a feel for it. And then if we want to call out some specifics in there that each of us wanted to talk about, we can do that. So for finance, Connor said he exceeds the expectations, and the select board unanimously agreed with that. Infrastructure, facilities, and public works, Connor said exceeds, and again, the select board unanimously agreed with that. Climate and energy policy, Connor said he meets, and the select board unanimously agreed on that as well. For planning and economic development, Connor said he meets. Me, Mark Lamb, and Jen Stacy agreed with that, and Craig and Jamie said he exceeds. Public health, safety, and community wellness, Connor said he meets. Craig and Mark agreed with that, and me, Jamie, and Jen said he exceeds. Quality of life, community engagement, and inclusivity, Connor said he meets. Craig and Mark also agreed that he meets, and me, Jamie, and Jen said he exceeds. Human resources management, labor relation, and organizational sustainability, Connor said he meets. Me, Craig, and Mark agreed with that, and Jen and Jamie said he exceeds. Town government efficiency, effectiveness, and resiliency, Connor said he exceeds, and the board unanimously agreed with that. The same with service and support to the select board, all exceeds. Inter and intragovernmental relations, Connor said exceeds. Mark said meets, and everyone else said exceeds. Professional and personal growth, Connor said meets. Craig and Jen said meets, and me, Mark, and Jamie said exceeds. So it was a glowing evaluation, as he's had in the past. And I don't know if the board wants to call out anything specifically from the evaluations that they want to highlight. Jen?
It's really hard to find something that Connor's, I mean, is by definition of his review is good at everything. So there's that. But I always look to find opportunity for improvement. I think we all do, right? And it's difficult to find opportunity improvement for you. I think you actually have done a good job of one of the pieces of critique from last year from everybody, which was to slow down and kind of, be confident in delegating, and you're so passionate and so mindful of everything you do that sometimes you put yourself second, third, fourth to that. I think you've done a good job of making progress on that, and it's a space you can still continue to do more, and I think it'll only serve to continue to make you even more amazing as an administrator. We're very lucky. When I talk to other communities, people know who you are in other communities. So me even talking about my role in the select board or anything else, they say you're so lucky to be part of Easton, and things there just function so well, and there's so much going on for the community, and that's a testament to you as a leader, and the team you've built, and the trust you put in them. So keep on doing what you're doing, and any ways that we can continue to work together to move toward a progress for all is fantastic news. So congratulations. We're really lucky to have you here.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Jen.
My turn.
That's
You know,
fair.
Connor, it meets, exceeds, all that stuff. When it says meets and not exceeds, it's difficult because it's like, I really do believe you're like a gold medal athlete in your field. So to sit back and criticize a gold medal athlete and say you can get a little bit better is really hard to do because you're already the best in that. So when I say meets or something like that, it's because you're the best at it. But I also think you personally, you have it in you to be better because you're really hard on yourself. You push the envelope. So please take it like that. You do a fantastic job. You're an amazing leader. Your department heads, they're a reflection of you. Our community and what has been created in your tenure is a reflection of you, and of course this board. But you're very humble, and that's one of the things I enjoy most about you. Your discomfort right now is great. It shows me how humble you are, and I think that's like the number one quality I look for in a human being is their humility. So I mean, keep doing what you're doing. When it says meets, you're still the best at it. But I know you. So thank you.
I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you.
I'm not sure, Connor, how much more can be added to what my colleagues so far have said. I had occasion to be at a meeting on Sunday night, and our state representative was lauding your skill set, your intelligence. She just went on and on and on. And I could see people who know you were nodding during that conversation. I think one of the things that really stands out to me is when we're challenged with a budget of this in this particular year and maybe next year too, that you don't panic. You're thoughtful. You take the time to take a look at all options, Meanwhile, you rely on people to help try to figure out with, whether it's MMA or our legislators, to try to increase the revenue that comes into our town. You're incredibly bright. I am amazed sometimes at, we've had conversations that go on for quite a long time. And I've learned so much from you, and I'm so impressed with you and the team that runs this town. And I will say again, I say it every year, because I know they'd be disappointed if I didn't say it. For those people who don't know.
This is Sean's first time hearing it.
Okay, so I know that there are some people out there like Sean who don't know the history, but in 2017, I had the opportunity to be a new member of the select board. And one of the first things that we did was to hire a town administrator. And that vote was 3-2. And Connor was hired as our town administrator. And I have never regretted that vote in the last 7 years. So it's been a long time, Connor.
Time's going
But
fast.
it certainly has, but I've enjoyed my relationship with you, and I've never regretted that vote. I didn't want you to be disappointed.
Thank you. I was worried all day. I'm like, please, Craig, tell that story.
I have heard that before.
So I want to say that one of the things that I think that should be called out is that Connor continues to grow and learn. He's, knocks it out of the park on everything that he does. And it's not just because he has a natural ability to pick that up. He puts in a ton of work, thinks everything to there's no stone unturned on any of the projects that we do. Even, looking at these financial memos, I mean, there's footnotes and there's links and there's everything that we don't get a piece of a document that we have questions on. I mean, everything you could possibly ask for is in here. He knows us very well. He knows what we're going to ask, how we're going to go about that. And that makes for a really good relationship. But he's open-minded to new ideas and quick to take advantage of opportunities to lead. So I think that, sometimes when you have a track record of this exceptional work, you could get a little bit arrogant or, not open-minded to new things, and you haven't done that. So I think that that's worth mentioning. I'm just going to say this one. My one area of concern is your ability to maintain your current pace and workload. And it's unfair of me to really say it like that, because the only way that we're going to be able to fix that is to have more help in your department, and we can't do it because of the budget. Right. So I'm gonna just put that out there, not as a criticism, but just as an observation, because I think that people in the community need to know that when we ask people to do more with less, it has an impact. So I just wrote, Connor is an overachiever and holds the bar very high for himself. The town administrator job is complex and consuming. He has not used many of his vacation days because his work schedule is so overloaded. That is not good, but you don't really have a choice when you have to get the work done. So I just feel like we have to work harder to find a way around that. Also, you lose your vacation days if you don't take them. And I would like to find a way to not do that either, because that is also not good. There's not enough staff in the town administrator's office to pick up some of the collective workload. And I include this comment into his exceptional performance review to memorialize the challenge. So like I say, I'm saying it sounds critical, but we've set it up to be that way. So we have a responsibility to work to fix that. And I'm hoping that people understand it. I just want people to know that this is a thing.
And I appreciate that. Our office of staff, at least as it pertains to town administration select board, is at the table. This is it. And I don't say that as a diminutive. Sean and Elizabeth are amazing. I would not be able to be successful without both of them. But I think your average person from the outside looking in at what is functionally a $100 million company wouldn't assume the executive office has 3 people in it. Right. So it's that is certainly a challenge, and it's one, we've all talked about publicly, but even privately getting ready for the evaluation. And I hope it bears out thinking about saying that we're exceeding financial expectations and we're facing such challenging finances, there was a part of me that's thinking, oh, well, that seems incongruent. But the reality is we know we need more staff in a lot of departments. And there's a reason I'm not putting forward a recommendation, even though you could justify it from a programmatic standpoint, is because it's also fundamentally, at the end of the day, it's one of the most important jobs I have of many is to be a realist about what the next few years look like. And believe me, I would love, I'm sure Sean and Elizabeth also would love a couple more members of the team helping out. But it's something that everyone on the board's been really insightful about. I know, Jen, you made a comment at the first, we weren't even in the budget cycle yet. We were talking about the community comparison report showing that, Easton's town hall function spends less per capita than every town in Massachusetts. And that we weren't saying that really as a point of pride. We do it out of necessity, and we have a lot of great people here doing an exceptional amount of work. Which kind of circles back to the fact that we have such good people here. That was one of the candidates asked the board tonight about why do people stay here, and I don't look at any employee and think that they're kind of coasting and they have it easy. They don't. People all throughout the organization, from the executive to the entry level, really carry a lot of weight. They do a good job. They take a lot of pride in their work, and they're really great people, really mission oriented. And I think that helps us really punch above our weight, and that carries through. And I think is reflective, of my performance and our performance. We have really good people. So I appreciate them, and I appreciate you making that comment.
Excellent. Did you have any other comments or questions on your evaluation?
I appreciate it. I've been very fortunate to work with the board for we'll be heading into our 8th year, which is surreal to say that, and for giving me a chance back in 2017.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. The town has been a great place. I've worked here. I'm going into my 13th year in my career here. We have some real challenges ahead of us. We've also been able to do a lot of really amazing things. During this performance period, if you want to call it, we wrapped up Blanche Ames, and that's going to be one of the most significant things any of us get to have a hand in. And I say have a hand in because none of us did it alone. Working together with the community and the schools, that's going to transform the life of children for generations, and that's a real privilege to get to be a part of that. We were fortunate enough that voters put a lot of trust in us for new police, fire, public works. That's a huge, huge deal. That's going to be, again, really transformative for the community and the people who are so essential to keeping the community functioning and safe. We completed the PFAS plants, finishing up Red Mill Road, Depot Street, a lot of really good projects. And we have great people here. The department heads are great. You're a great board to work for. When I speak with my colleagues, that is the inversion of that conversation also happens, that it's really, you can't have one of the candidates made a comment I really liked about high functioning teams is that you need to empower people. You empower me to do what I need to do. And I would like to think that I do that with my team. I trust them. A lot of them are a whole lot smarter than I am in their areas. That's why they're in that job and I'm not. There's oversight, of course, but we're a team. People have a great attitude. We do actually like each other, which helps a lot. But we have great people, great team here, and the voters here have been great. They've gone through some tough town meetings. They've had to make some pretty consequential choices, and the public here has been really, really good to the town administration, I think. And so, thanks for helping me do what I do, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Great. One other thing I just wanted to call out is that you've been nominated for the 2024 American Public Works Association Distinguished Services to Public Works Award to recognize an elected or appointed government service leader for a far-reaching impact on local, state, or national public works programs, services, or policies through exemplary public service and commitment. So I'm very proud that you've been nominated for that. And it's very well deserved, that recognition.
Hear, hear.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so let's take a vote to accept the fiscal 2024 performance evaluation.
So move, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb,
Stacy, yes?
Lamb, yes.
Full Janetti, yes.
Barger, yes.
So the next item that we have on the agenda is discussion and vote on the town administrator's employment agreement amendment, and he has requested an extension to June 30th, 2028. We're going to go into an executive session for a couple of minutes to just talk about this collectively, to return to open session. So under purpose 2 of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy with respect to contract negotiations with non-union personnel, Connor Reed. So I expect this will be fairly quick. And again, I'll need a motion,
So
a
moved.
second.
Second.
So moved, Barger.
So Barger and Lamb,
Stacy, yes.
Lamb, yes.
full Janetti, yes.
Barger, yes.
All right, to return to open session. Right? We're gonna.
Refreshing, but also like,
Is it like freezing?
it's no, I mean, I'm always cold now,
Okay.
so, and I used to not be, and that's no one's fault except my body's fault, so.
Okay, we are back on the air, and we are back from our executive session. Perfect. So Connor, we voted unanimously to extend your contract for 1 year with the terms that are outlined in your agreement.
So much.
So congratulations. You're
Appreciate
stuck
that.
with us for 1 more year.
Thank you.
And
Actually, no, it's more than 1 year.
No, yes, it's for 2028.
Yeah.
well, one year on the end. So
Right,
we're
just
up to
for the
fiscal
public's
27.
benefit, it was already 27.
Yes.
It's not a 4-year contract.
So thank you very much. We don't need to take another vote now, right? The vote in the executive session?
I believe just announcing it
Yeah,
covers it.
I think so.
Thank you. Thank you
All right.
I appreciate
And
it.
what else do I have left on here? So town administrator notes?
I do actually have one thing somewhere in my pile that I want to add. If I can find it.
This back.
If, here we go.
You give me this back?
Wednesday night, there is going to be a public workshop in this room. So Wednesday, the 10th, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. For a visioning and public input session about the rehabilitation of the town hall's historic landscaping grounds. So the Community Preservation Act committee and voters at town meeting were generous enough to fund a really beautiful restoration and preservation of the exterior of this building, which is wonderful. And the second phase of that design was funded by CPA as well. That includes restoration of the historic landscape here at the town hall. Even without having done that yet, just with the improvements to the exterior, you see folks getting married outside, getting engagement photos. It's a really nice public space for everyone to enjoy. And so they'll have landscape architects coming in. So, and if people want to come learn about the history of the grounds here, what they've looked like over the decades, and give feedback on what they might hope to see their town hall grounds look like. That is here Wednesday, the 10th, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Excellent. Okay, Jen, anything from you?
Yeah, I have two things, and I won't say a ton about them because I know you'll both have things to say about them as well. But it was fantastic this weekend to attend the arts and media event at 50 Oliver Street. The turnout was incredible, especially given the rain. And it was just, really, really well done event. Great to see the community come out. The Elvis impersonator was awesome. And fun fact, got married in Graceland Chapel in Vegas. So I have a special place in my heart for Elvis impersonators. So that was really, really fun. And when Viva Las Vegas came on, I was telling my daughter about how we actually danced our way out of the chapel to that song. So special place. But it was just awesome, like getting to walk through and show, my daughter the ECAT, and she was fascinated by it all and having it all open, and the artist, just fantastic event. So,
Yeah.
And I actually bumped into an old friend who was a vendor, and she was just like, it is incredible Easton does this sort of thing. In her community, they don't do that. And she's just like, I love coming here. I feel the sense of community here. And it was really awesome to hear that from someone. So I think it's a true testament to the value that is bringing into the community. And also attended Pastor Polk's retirement event on Sunday morning. And it was a beautiful mass. And the reception after was just really fantastic. And I'll turn it over for others to kind of elaborate on these things.
Craig, you can go next.
Thank you. There are two things that I wanted to mention. One is that the annual TCS Shuttletown Road Race happened on Sunday morning. There were over 550 runners. I don't know who won it. I couldn't be there because I was otherwise occupied. But apparently, according to my sources, that was a very successful day. And the weather cooperated to a certain extent. So that was good. It's becoming a destination running a 5K for a lot of people around the state. So that was very nice.
Great.
The second thing is that I had the privilege of being with Dottie and with Jen at John Polk's retirement service at the Lutheran Church, and I won't steal your thunder. I just think that he is an extraordinary man, an extraordinary pastor. He brought some terrific ideas to this town. He was always involved in this town. And I'm going to miss having that relationship with him. And I know that it's harder for the Lutheran Church and the congregants. But I formed a relationship with him, and I thought he was one of the most creative, thoughtful men, leaders that I've ever met. I wish him well.
Yeah.
Well said.
Before I make my comments, Sean, I forgot to go all the way down the line to you. So I've been jumping ahead of things all night tonight. So I didn't forget you. I just didn't have you in the right sequence. So
Hey, we shared on our social media and website recently that the Water Division is going to be hosting their 40th annual Household Waste Day this year. It's without hazardous due to a change in our vendor. So hazardous waste will be collected next year, but for this year, it'll just be a small number of items comparative to previous years, like car batteries, propane tanks, stuff like that. And there's information, like I said, on our website and on our social media pages. It's April 20th from 8 a.m. till noon. So if you want to go and vote and then drop off your household waste items, it'd be a nice 1-2 punch, and it'll be at the DPW at 130 Center Street.
that's great. Excellent. So yes, I got to spend a lot of time with Jen and her lovely daughter and Craig this weekend. I just want to thank everybody on the Cultural District for all of all the effort that went into producing this arts and media show with ECAT. It was a partnership, so ECAT did a great job. It was wonderful to see some of the new equipment in their studio. A lot of volunteer hours. Amy Rodriguez is the liaison to the Cultural District. She just did an amazing job. You're right. The artists were really excited to be there. We had a tribute to Lee Williams. His family was just thrilled, and Elvis was just the piece de resistance. There was a little boy there named Ezra, and if you watch the video, I mean, it's hilarious. He's probably like 3 or 4 years old, and he was just dancing away and having a great time. So that was fun. And also with Pastor Polk's retirement, he has been, he put his thumbprint on this community for sure. He inspires his congregants to feed the poor and help provide clothing and just everything that could really help people. He's done a lot for our veterans and our veteran services. Corey Ahonen that was his go-to guy for a lot of things that we needed. And he will be missed. So it was really nice. The Lutherans really like to sing and eat. They had tons of food. It was a great service. So thank you to them.
I just want to note too, his commitment to inclusivity, like really resonates strongly with me. And that's something one of his values that I just so appreciate that he instilled upon the community.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, this was a great night, a long night, and we got a lot accomplished. So thanks everyone for being here. And with that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Stacy.
Barger and Stacy, all in favor?
Stacy, yes.
Full Janetti, yes.
Barger, yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, ECAT. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
I wasn't sure if we were still in.